good idea. I think I know what I'm going to do for that. But yeah, next project, guys. Next project. Anyway, that was Weird Ed's intro that I never play because I'm Weird Ed. I do what I want.
You
So,
need
guys,
to for it though.
so this is the main reason why we're here. We've got someone that's interested in creating content, but the problem is that they're worried about they don't really want to show their face. They're kind of shy. They don't really want to do their voice either. So and they do want to create content specifically in the art type field, but they're worried about a lot of other things around, what they're not necessarily wanting to be kind of a YouTube celebrity or anything. They just want to create content. That's for me, it's a great position to be. You want to create content. You're not interested in all these other bits and pieces around trying to do it for the sake of getting famous, which is a problem a lot of people kind of get into because they immediately want to just jump into the fame part and not actually do the nitty-gritty of what they're actually creating. So for them, it's not about the content they create. They're just there to become famous. And for me, when you're a content creator, you should be there to actually create content. So the problem, I mean, this is really about creation. And so I'm going to put a few problems here. So the one is incognito. And there's two parts. It's the camera shy as well as the voice.
Yeah, she doesn't. She's like me. She says she doesn't like the sound of her voice. Now I don't like the sound of my voice either, but I've kind of gotten used to it though.
I love the
She
sound of my
really
voice.
doesn't
I'm so
like it.
sexy. I got that deep, gruff voice.
Yeah, but you sound like you're on the radio.
Hello.
This is the problem with women, unfortunately. We've got high-pitched voices. It's just a natural thing. There's only a few women who don't actually have that. So for me, I've got a very high-pitched voice. Men in general have these nice, soothing sounding voices.
But I mean,
That's why
it's not
there's so many of them on radio and not, the women on radio, some of them have the most annoying voices.
But I mean, this is the thing. A lot of people are kind of shy and they don't want to do it, but there's nothing wrong. I mean, like, and I mean, for like she looks fantastic, but I'm like, she's just shy. So she has an issue with being on camera. And I know this because even when we take pictures, she's shy like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, but
so that's a problem. But I mean, I don't think it's it's really a problem. What we're going to do is we're going to find solutions to these. So these on the left are all going to be kind of where we're sitting with all the ideals, and on the right we're going to be talking about like what she wants to do. And really, it's about creating art. And one of the things she was thinking about is kind of the monetization piece. And she was worried about a lot of things when it comes to monetization. It's not the reason why she's on here, but she's read a lot of negative things around tax and income and getting paid by PayPal and Bitcoin and all these other bits and pieces around monetization that she's worried about.
Be on YouTube and not Twitch.
Yeah, but it's whether it's YouTube, whether it's Twitch, whatever it is, it's important to know a lot of those considerations. So it's about ad revenue, right? At the end of the day, that's what she's a bit worried about. She's worried about the tax pieces, and she's thinking about sponsors and just product sponsors and sponsors in general, right? So when she looks at the platforms, we mentioned, there's YouTube, which everyone knows. There's Twitch, which is also quite popular. There's Vimeo. There's We're going to put TikTok in here, and we're going to put Facebook in here, and we are also going to put Instagram. And you'll, I mean, we're going to start talking about where all of these come into play and what you should take into consideration. And yeah, I think that's it. So, I mean, really, it's about creating from scratch
You go full of nonsense.
and kits. So I think there's going to be a lot of art that she's going to be creating from scratch, but I also think that there's going to be a lot of time where she starts looking at kit art, which is kind of a pack that contains everything that you need to do a piece of content. So whether it be paint by colors, whether it be designing boxes, cutters, any type of piece of art. But yeah, so when you look at this now you're starting to understand, the content creation, that ideal of what you're doing is actually not that big sometimes. It's a small piece of the puzzle that you need to actually solve. So there's a lot of other things to look at. And one of the things that I will tell her right now, do not think about the monetization piece. Yes, it's important, but it's more about that content creation and everything else than it is about monetization. Monetization will happen. But if you come in with that concept that that's the reason why you're in it, you might not succeed. And it's about putting what you want into what you believe is worthwhile in terms of content creation. And you have to sell that. Yes, it's important to me because that's the thing that I want to make. And you have to have a reason to make it. If you're making something that no one wants, then you're not going to carry on making it. Like, I love gaming. It's like, you know what? If you force me to go in and start playing Warzone, I'm going to get very frustrated. Like, I'm not going to carry on playing, and I'm not going to put my all when I'm playing it. Whereas you get me to do some fun stuff like platformers and other things, then yes, I'm going to be all over it. I love that. But yes, so that's it. Art, creating from scratch, kit art. Boom. So that's that simple. So now we're going to actually look at, all these pieces and what would be ideal. So when you look at what you need to do, we spoke about two creation methods, right? And we really talked about live stream and we talked about recording. Now, what's important here is when we talked about live streaming, Tina can attest to this. She's done both. She's done live streaming and recording, and she still to this day, she does both of them. But when she started doing a lot of the work, we decided we're going to do recording. And for some of the 5-minute videos that we were creating, um, it was taking us about a day or two to actually just record some of these videos. So
To
for a
get the
5-minute
recording
stream,
going.
yeah. And I mean, you can go onto the Weird Air channel. You can have a look at some of our stuff where we were actually setting up these things, and you'll see what a nightmare it is. There's wires all over the show. We've got multiple cameras running at the same time. Um, Sometimes you need more than one cameraman. Sometimes you need more than one audio person. We've had incidences where we've got the perfect shot, but the audio was completely useless. And when we're doing baking, for instance, it's very difficult. You can't re-record that audio. With something that's instructional, yes, you could re-record the audio. You could splice it in with some music. That's actually a good idea. So one of the other things that she wanted to look at was actually music. And yeah, so getting all of that set up and having this maintained and trying to do the editing thereafter and trying to get the perfect shot because it's now a 5-minute video versus a live stream. was a big difference. So I mean, tell us about those two scenarios. Like, tell us about recording versus live stream.
Recording, I find recording so much more stressful, far more stressful, because we're spending probably the same amount of time, actually more amount of time, just on recording. So you're prepping, you're recording, and you're having to do 101 different takes, because at the end of the day, your recording needs to be perfect because you are showing a proper instructional video that needs to be done correctly so that people can see it being done correctly. Whereas, and then, and along with all the other things that come with it, with the lighting or whatever, and then there's editing. And sometimes, like, even a 2-minute video takes longer to edit than just going live. Now, for me, I still do recordings and stuff like that, but I do it more for YouTube Shorts because it's quick and easy. But the live streaming for me is a better fit. I just find it so much easier and less stressful. I would rather be standing here, and I find that even my audience like it. I get a lot more viewership out of things where I'm creating something for the first time and they're watching me do it for the first time, and how I land up with challenges and how I overcome those challenges, as opposed to me posting a picture perfect video that I've recorded a million times over to try and get and like splice together to get all this perfect images in between, and then then there's like a perfect 5-minute video. Whereas with the live, even though it's like probably painstakingly long for some people to watch, 2-3 hours, it's they enjoy watching me go from the beginning right to the end, and like where I have a challenge. Turn it down, Rebecca. And like when I did the Harry Potter cake, I mean, it was like a 5-tier cake, and when I got to the top, everything was looking perfect. And when I put the last tier on, the cake, I was literally having anxiety because I could see the cake was going to collapse. There was no way it was going to hold. And everyone loved. I mean, that's one of my biggest viewed live streams, and there was like a 3-4 hour stream. But everybody loves watching it because they see my reaction where my cake is about to freaking collapse. And it's an actual cake for an order. It's not even me messing around. It's not Sugar Rush or whatever where people are like asking about and having to do something in a rush over 3 hours or anything. So I think it just, you kind of just need to find your own fit kind of thing. So if you enjoy doing the recording and the whole process of recording and stuff, but creating content is not as easy as people think it is. There's to try and plan content, to try and find content, and it's not so much of, oh, is people going to watch this, because it's always a hit and miss. You're never going to know. Something that you think is not going to be big lands up being big. Something that you think was going to be big lands up not being big. So I don't think it's like, but just to try and find new, fresh things to be posting and stuff like that. The creation in itself, even with live or with recording in itself, is like, it's like hard work. I don't know where people think that it's easy, because it really isn't. I find it a little bit easier because I'm already creating stuff that's going out on order, and that's what I show. So when I don't have orders, that's when I struggle, because now I'm trying to scramble and find things that I need to put on my live, because obviously we want to do it on a continuous base, because you need to be consistent. Because that's also a thing. Because whether you're live or recording, you're going to have to be doing it consistently all the time, because you're not going to keep up your viewership if you're not posting all the time. So I just find, for me personally, doing live is so much easier because I do it. It gets automatically recorded on my YouTube channel, there for people to watch later. So you either come in and watch the live and you can chat to me, or you can watch the live later at your own convenience. But it's done. And it's just raw. People deal with the fact that I'm like talking the biggest load of nonsense about my child and what's going on, and I'm running around after the dog and all that kind of stuff. And that's just how it is. That's what my live stream is about, and people just need to deal. And I don't think anyone's got a problem with it, because they get to see everything. And I try and keep it instructional to a certain point, so because that's the whole basis of my YouTube channel, is to show people how to do things or try out new things so that they can see how it's done. Because you get all those videos, like the taste videos and whatever, where you're going, really? Can that really work? And actually, no, it doesn't. Because it's a recorded thing, they've juxed it here and there. So it actually is not something that actually can work. So so it's nice to be able to see it from beginning to end. I think a lot of people enjoy seeing that, the beginning to the end, where it's not this picture perfect video. But it all depends on what you're doing as well.
And I think what people stress about, like, live is live, so you're streaming immediately. But there's also the option, if you feel like you're producing content that's too long that people aren't going to watch, something like art. Some people do find it relaxing to watch art for like 2 hours, watching a piece of work happen. But there's also the case where a lot of people just want to see the thing happen, but at a faster rate. So you can also record these things instead of going live the way we traditionally. You can record long stream. So if you know that you're going to be doing a piece of art or any creation, and it's going to take you 9 hours to complete, and you're going to do it over 3 days, you can actually record it over 3 days. So don't think of it as just, you have to do this right now and right then. So you can record it as long as you know where everything is. We know where all our camera placement is. We know exactly where it needs to be facing and what position it needs to be. So we can overlay it over 3 days. I mean, our setup right now, you've got a tripod, and we suggest anyone that's creating content get a tripod.
Absolutely.
It's just, I mean, yeah, I think let's add that as another thing. Just talking about equipment.
I think you need a basic camera that's decent.
Yeah.
You need
No,
probably one ring light.
So on that content creation, you're talking about the curated videos, and what you could do is you could also say, you know what, no one wants to watch a full 9 hours of it, so we're going to speed it up. So most video editing tools will allow you to just drop something in there, speed up that whole process, and you can overlay your music or anything else. And I mean, you could also cut it so that, people watch the key moments rather than saying you're going to have to watch the whole thing. So if you're creating a piece of art and you think, a particular section is difficult, you can have it recorded on multiple cameras, or use various methods to actually capture what you're doing. You can actually, let me show one of your live stream where you've got a multi-camera. I think that might be a good idea.
I think sometimes also that people also, there are sometimes, like when I'm not going to talk and I just get on with whatever I'm doing. I've got music in the background. So many people come back and say they love, just like, even if I'm not talking, they're quite happy to sit and watch. They find it so therapeutic to sit and watch me do stuff and just have the music playing in the background. And I think that's where our friend is wanting to go, is where she's just doing work in the doing work and having music playing in the background, because it applies to those people with the whole ASMR.
Yeah. Have you got one of yours where you use the multicam?
What?
Your videos.
Yeah, all my videos start off with multicam and then I switch it off later. One of the very beginning videos will do it. This one's the latest one, so I switched everything off. Try looking at are you talking about a live?
Yes.
Yeah, most of them start off with multicam, so just look for one of the oldest videos will have more multicam than those are recordings. That's not live. To go into the live. Yeah. Like because basically what happens is that it'll end up looking at my face, so that's why I'll end up switching some of the cameras off.
So here's one where you've got the multicam.
Yeah, and I
So
start out.
if you feel like you need to explain something and show something, or you might need to have two different views. So when you're doing art, one of the big things is you're using your hands and you might block a piece of work that somebody wants to see. So having multiple camera angles is actually a good idea. And you could very easily change something like this to a left and a right view instead of having a kind of front view and a top down view. And it just
Because
depends. I mean,
I also change my angle depending on what I'm doing. So, like if I'm working like this with toppers and stuff like that, I want it close up and personal and from the top view because it's easier. It's better for people to see. But then, like when I'm doing like putting a cake together, I change the whole angle of my camera so that you can see the whole cake and you actually end up seeing me as well.
yep,
Do you see the whole cake from the side rather than from the top? Because they want to see from the side. There's no point seeing it from the top because not much is happening on the top.
yep. And I mean, you can see. So changing your camera angles is very important for different things that you're doing. And with any type of art, you want to get the best view so that people understand what you're doing and how you're doing it. And that's the
This
key.
this particular video, I landed up moving things around with the camera so that we because the cake was so big. So I landed up moving the cameras around and everything. I think in the end, I landed up like pulling the camera far back and everything so that you could see me try and put it up on the top.
Yeah.
It was so stressful. You must say hello to your peoples, love.
Oh, who's people? Hey, Clocky. What's up, Clock? The infamous Weird Dad. Yes, the infamous Weird Dad.
He's
So,
terrible. He's not. He see
yes,
now. This is also
I
another
know.
thing. He's not used to live streaming. This is new, so he doesn't really keep an eye on his chat.
So, Clocky, we're trying to help a content creator, a close friend, and so she wants to create content, but she's worried about being camera shy, and she doesn't even want to speak on camera. But she's an amazing artist, and she wants to create things without having to have to bother about talking in front of the camera or doing any of the other bits and pieces about being content creators really. So I think it's very possible. Like we were looking at quite a few people that they never actually talk on their YouTube channels, and they're still very interested. And especially some of the food creators and art creators that don't really need to talk, and they're just showing their art, and that's what she's interested in.
The thing with her is that she needs to decide whether she wants it to be instructional or not. If she's just doing it for to show it,
Yep.
and it's not going to be instructional, then I think she can just do it, basically do it. Whether she got to decide whether she wants to do it live or recording, but she can just do it and keep quiet. The thing is, if she, I think she'd have to do recordings because the thing is that if she does it live and people start asking her questions, that would require her to talk.
So,
So
funny
if she
enough, we have the perfect example of this right now. We're actually going to go on to Harlot. Harlot, we're actually going onto your channel very soon. So this is one of the examples I put down. So that this is someone creating a souffle cupcake and pancakes, and you don't really need to have them talk. You can, as you're doing things, you can mention things in your comments. You can actually just show or write in text what you're doing. And because she's doing this and she's worried about the live stream, we said, look, do the recording so that you'll come more comfortable and you can do this type of editing. You can say what you're doing instead of, and you don't have to use your voice to do this. You can overlay it with some nice soothing music. And then on the other side, one of the people we wanted to talk to, and we're going to actually show you Harlot's stream. He's not online right now, but we're going to actually show you what he looks like when he's streaming. Let's just mute it. And there's two ways we could do. Well, there's actually quite a few ways. Um, One of these is Harlan. So he's got this little animated avatar of his, and he uses that to talk. So you can actually see him when he's moving around and talking, when he looks at the cam versus when he looks at the gameplay. You kind of know what he's doing, but you don't have to show your face. And I love what does on it. And it's gotten to that stage where, you can have good looking avatars. It's not a case of it's a flat avatar with no emotion. You actually see them moving around. Like you've got him laughing. You can see him when he's talking. He can do a few expressions, and it does actually show what he's doing. Um, Harlot, I think you're using Valorant bot. Let's look at one of his Valorant bots. I'm gonna lose your bots now. Let's have a look. But yeah, he's got some really cool stuff. So, I mean, it's not exactly. Harlot, I lost your VODs. I lost it. Oh, there we go. Valorant. Now, what we did earlier with my screen, where I took out the green screen, and you can see that's quite nice. It's got that thing. It's on his face. You can see what's going on. If he panics, if he laughs, if he talks, it all animates accordingly. And I love that. Harlot, what was the app you were using? You're not using animes, are you? You're using V cards. Yes, this is the minimal look. So we were just messing around. I just created a minimal look for myself. Using my webcam. But yeah, so it is very possible, and we love that. So if you're camera shy, it doesn't mean that you can't be a content creator anymore. There we go.
But that's the thing is that I think with her, she needs to decide whether she wants to be live or if she wants recording, because the live comes with people asking questions, and then with the recording comes with editing and all that extra work that doesn't come with live. So she kind of if she does recording, she doesn't have to talk. She can just make videos, music in the background, and just be and not say anything and just do them. But then she's going to have to, I don't know, almost make it feel like it's live so that she doesn't, if she messes up, she messes up.
Yeah.
But there's going to be needing editing and all that kind of stuff. Whereas with the live, she can do stuff without needing to talk, because we see a lot of artists that are on live and not really talking. But the problem is that then people do want to talk to you, and then you're going to have to then use your voice. So, I mean, for me, it's like you just have to kind of almost, I know this is going to sound terrible, you're going to have to get over yourself depending on what way you want to go. Because if you're going to go live, I hate my voice. I honestly do, but listen to me, I'm sitting here talking. You just have to just get over it.
Yeah. Sorry, I actually wanted to show you that this is what the application looks like. This is one of them. This is animes. It's something that I was using, but yeah, it just registered. Sorry, I can't actually show my camera because I'm using my camera at the moment. The joys of technology. But it's actually pretty easy to set up. And once you have that, you can actually use a lot of things. Right. And on the vocal shy, we said that there's two options around there. One of them is you could actually just put text, and the other one is actually using audio synthesizers. So there's a bunch of audio tools that you could use. Some of them are built into a lot of the applications. You can have a robot voice, which I'm not the greatest fan of, but there's options to actually change your voice so that it sounds very different from what your voice is. Yes. So along with these applications, some of them have issues, but what we like to do is And what we're doing here is because you're doing it post production, um, you could actually record the two things separately and then splice them together.
Yeah.
So we were actually showing earlier, Tina does it live. So it's a bit more different when you're doing it live. The nice thing about doing it post production, and I don't think she's too interested in doing it live, because there's too many issues. And because she's a bit worried and she hasn't done this, I don't think she has the comfort level at the moment to actually do it live. And to
Yeah, but
anyone that
that's
does
also
that,
like
I
that's
say,
what I did as well. I mean, I started out with recording and then went on to live.
and Harlan, I 100% agree with you. One of the complaints we had is that my face and my webcam and the webcams when we were talking were actually distracting from what I was doing. So like now you've got this view, we're trying to like iron out like this is what we're trying to talk about. But what was happening was we were blocking it and people were more focused on us and our reactions than the content we're actually trying to create. Yes. So yeah.
What's that? Got given a bot to deal with.
Yes. So Harlot's actually talking to us on text right now. So you won't be able to see that on the live screen unless you're actually watching us live now. But yes, less distracting is the way to go these days. People are trying to get the minimalist look, and there's definitely a view that you want to see the person and you want to be able to chat to the person, but it's also the case of focus on the content your creation. And right now, what she's trying to do is create this art, and we need to focus on that art. But yeah, and so we talked about the vocal shy, we talked about the camera. I think the last thing I'm just going to talk a bit about the equipment. And guys, quite simply, you just need cameras, right? For the type of thing she's doing, she doesn't need to worry about a mic. The focus is on the actual art. So you want to have decent cameras to actually capture this. So what you're trying to do is try and capture it in 4K if you can. That for me is probably the most important thing. And what she's probably going to end up doing is using her phone for a lot of that 4K capturing. You don't have to get a fancy camera anymore. Most phones are actually fully capable of capturing in 4K at a decent resolution, at a decent frame rate. And that's ideally what she wants. If she wants to do the live streaming at, yes, it's different. But the way she's doing it, you get a tripod and a phone, and more than likely you've got more than one phone in your house. If you're living with anyone, even if you're alone, I know I have two phones by myself. I have two phones and a tablet. So if I need to record in multiple angles and do the same thing over and over, then you can do that. And whichever phone you're picking with, just pick the one that has the best microphone, and that's probably the one that you're going to use if you need to record audio. So guys, equipment, straightforward. If you're doing this type of content, just stick to your phone. You don't have to worry about live streaming. You don't have to worry about anything else. I know the guys that are playing games and things, they're very different. When you talk about games, then, geez, let's not go into those webcams. I'm going to just show you briefly when you talk about webcams. You've got 4K cameras. You've got your 1080 at high FPS. You've got people that are using 720 laptop cams. I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to show you. I do actually have a thing that I was creating for all the different webcams. Can't see. Nope. I think it's on the other one. Anyway, um, I have about 5 different cams that are connected to this machine. Um, Everything from a 4K, a 1080, literally a 720, and then on top of it, I've got all the phone cams that are connected as well, so that we can move around while we're busy talking. So you're not just focused on one thing. If you want to like take a break, you can take a break. So a lot of people take a break and they want to go for a smoke, and sometimes they lose attention from people. So what you can do is actually take your cam, go for a smoke break, take that chance to actually catch up with chat or do other things. If you're in the kitchen and you decide, now I'm going to make myself a sandwich, and you might decide, like, let's actually take this cam with me, sit in the kitchen, watch you making a sandwich, and taking a break. That's what some people want. Sometimes you actually need a break where, you're completely cutting off. Makes sense to actually have separate scenes. But if you have the times when you actually want people to come on this and stick with you, then that's the things that you'll do. But like I said, we're not worried about this. We're saying she's not interested in doing a webcam or live journey, so it's straightforward. It's use phone cameras. You can use multiple cameras if you want, but the ideal is keep the cams, get the multiple camera set up, and the second piece we're going to talk about is video editing. Quite simply, when it comes to free and useful, I use DaVinci Resolve. Um, I love it. I'm an advocate for using free stuff. I actually use the paid version of Resolve, which is great. And it's something that she doesn't understand as yet. So what we said was, come on to our channel. We've got some video editing that we've created. Tina's created a huge catalog of tutorials for YouTube. We'll share the link below. Hopefully we remember to do that. Yes. And yeah, that's it. Um, actually want to show that. So there's a lot that you can do in the video editing space, but I told her not to get inundated with the video editing. Get people who will step in and kind of help you along with that. So I said, if we're just doing long streams, I'll help out with the video editing. We'll teach you how to do things. So, when you kind of tweak and you decide, yeah, I want this, I don't want this, I like having music behind it, or I like having kind of, you know, low end audio. You might want to have like kind of just jungle themes running in the background. You might want to have music running in background. You might want to just have ambient noise in the background. It just depends on what you want. Some people will just put it as silent. I'm like, it might work for some people, but people tend to like audio when they watch videos. So you
Yeah,
want something soothing. I
yeah. If
mean
there's no
that's why
talking,
is
they want to hear music.
and you might decide, when it comes to sound, um, you might want a ASMR type scenario where you're recording, where maybe people like the sound of pencil to paper, and maybe that's what they're there for. Maybe that's what they're watching. Yeah. And I mean, Harla just mentioned, you've got different scene setups for different things. So what we're doing now is we're going to put down all of this, and you might decide you want a combination of it. What I'll say now is try and create this. Just jump in, see how it looks. Create one that has music. Create one that doesn't have music. Create one that you record the audio that's happening. So, when you're painting, the brush strokes, when you hear those brush strokes, you want to hear when you've got that pencil on that paper. Hear how it sounds, and then from that point, you can decide, I like this or I don't like this. And you might want to put that to your audience. So you might say, you know what, let's try this out and let's see how it goes. The first few streams on Weird I had the webcams and everything set up in a certain way. And I'm okay with actually getting rid of it because now I'm trying out all these different ways to actually do things. And I'm going to see which one actually hits with the audience because that's what I'm interested in. Am I getting the message across or am I actually um, just wasting my time? Like for me, if a handful of people look at this and actually get some value out of it, great, because that's what I'm aiming at. I'm not trying to be famous or anything. I'm just trying to create content and education there. And that's the main thing. So yeah, I've spoken about a lot of these things. I said I'm going to ignore the monetization piece because this is not something you should be interested in first. First,
Okay.
get used to the content creation, make sure you're happy with it, and at some point when you're happy and you want to start talking about how to really monetize this and how to like progress this as a career moving forward, then we can talk about it, and then we'll get other people involved, people that are specialists in this. We've got tax consultants, we've got lawyers who can talk about the contract pieces, and we've got marketing specialists as well. You know, that's the nice thing about being in the corporate environment. We've got all these specialists that know about the industry and can help out, and they're more than willing to help out. But they need to see that someone's actually interested in creating something, whether it's educational content, whether it's paid content, sponsored content, doesn't matter. It's creating content. Yeah. So that's pretty much it, guys. Like, I think we've spoken a ton. I think what we're gonna do now is we're gonna powwow and actually create some mock content with her, and we're gonna see where this leads. Um, yeah. So keep in touch, guys. I thought, let me do this, and what I'm actually gonna do now is I'm gonna jump into a game. Um, I thought, like, you know what? It's one thing I'm doing all this education. Yes, I'm trying to help people, but after this, I'm going to actually play some games, mess around. I thought, let me do some Hades. So let me not press the wrong